Hello, my name is Kimberly Cookshouse, and if you're watching this video, you must be wondering about studying abroad in London. What is it like, how is the program, and other questions of that nature. The first thing I want to cover though is if you're watching this video and thinking not where should I study abroad, but should I study abroad, the answer is yes! When I was looking up study abroad programs, I had the exact same question. I was afraid of living in a new place all by myself, worried about navigating a city completely alien to me. And I'll admit, in the beginning, I was scared. Scared to put myself out there, alone, in one of the biggest, most influential cities in the world. I came from a small Wisconsin suburb and moved to a city that never stops growing. I found that the great thing about my study abroad program was that, in their own way, everyone was nervous and I wasn't alone. And that's why I think the UW in London program was so successful for me, because the program kept encouraging us to explore the city and get to know it, despite our hesitations. The first few weeks included scavenger hunts and group activities away from the small area by Hyde Park that we called home. They managed to entertain, teach, and comfort us with the strangeness of these surroundings but the familiarity of our friends. As per the rest of my experience abroad, I can't say one negative thing about it. Personally, the experience granted me the confidence to trust my instincts and travel alone. Where before I would hesitate before traveling somewhere alone, London taught me to embrace the wild and chaotic life of the world around me. My life changed drastically upon moving there. Driving and busing, two forms of transportation that had become second nature to me, became a thing of the past. I taught myself how to navigate the city through the tube system. If I wasn't on the tube, I was walking. It made me realize how little I used to walk back home in America, and that there is something simply beautiful in walking around a crowded city. With my confidence boosted, I traveled to the nearby Portobello Market when I needed groceries every week. The food was fresh, the people were kind, and the street was filled with the sounds of street performers making the most of their afternoons. I also visited Borough Market, whose street vendors dominated the scene, selling delicious lunch foods and bakery desserts. I ventured to Camden Market as well, noting the sections of food and street vendors where I could haggle for trinkets and gifts for friends and family back home. When I wasn't in the markets, I was seeing the sights. I went to see the famous buildings like the Shard, where you can eat a meal 31 floors above the city. I went on a tour of Parliament where I saw the legacy of hundreds of years of English history. There, I saw statues of the late and great Prime Ministers Winston Churchill, Margaret Thatcher, and many others. I went to the London Eye, where I got a bird's-eye view of the whole city. I also went to see a play at the world-famous Shakespeare's Globe Theatre, where I saw The Merchant of Venice. In my free weekends out of London, I was able to travel around the UK and the rest of Europe. I visited Edinburgh, where the wonderful Edinburgh Castle has been sitting on Castle Rock since the 12th century. I went to Brussels and explored the streets and local cathedrals while snacking on a fruit cone. During spring break, I visited Barcelona and saw guitarists in the Palau de Musica and hiked to the top of Mount Tibidabo. London's proximity to Europe and vast size made tickets to and from the rest of Europe inexpensive. While I spent most of the weekend staying in and exploring London, these brief visits throughout the region broadened my worldview and made me appreciate London like a second home. The program itself also kept in mind the wishes of the students. They scheduled several outings that we could sign up for, which was an easy way to make certain trips possible. Whereas it would have been difficult to visit places like the Making of Harry Potter alone, they bought the tickets and scheduled the bus ride to the attractions. We were able to go see Stonehenge, where I learned about England's ancient burial mounds, and Bath, where I saw the Roman baths and witnessed the wonders of the ancient world. One of the last trips they arranged was a speedboat ride down the Thames. I got to see London from an entirely new and exhilarating perspective. It was an experience I would have never thought of otherwise, and it's one of my favorite memories in London. My favorite part of the entire program, despite the wonderful traveling opportunities within and outside of London, is the academic program it offered. The Foundation for International Education, or FIE, only a few blocks down the road from my flat, was where I had a majority of my classes. The classes were organized in 3-hour blocks, so that half of the class was lecture material and the other half was getting out into the city and using the materials it offered us. In bits and snippets, we left the comfort of our classrooms and explored the countless museums London has to offer. We went to the British Museum, where I saw the Rosetta Stone, Egyptian hieroglyphics, and Roman sculptures from the Parthenon. We went to the Wellcome Museum, which delved into the science of a murder, the Hunterian, which features over 3,000 anatomical specimens, including the famous Irish giant, and the Grant Museum of Zoology, which houses over 68,000 zoological specimens from across the animal kingdom. I went to the Museum of London, where I was able to see and explore the fictitious life of Sherlock Holmes. We went to Brick Lane and witnessed some of the best street art that London has to offer. As I began to open up to the city, it revealed more of its innumerable treasures. I explored the area around Trafalgar Square in search of the infamous Scotland Yard and found the Horse Guards Parade. We took the tube to Kew Gardens, where we saw the flora that came to London from throughout the British Empire. I also went to the British Library, where I learned all about the Gothic imagination and how it was shaped by London values. My favorite part of the visit, however, was the incredible opportunity to perform research at the British Library. Never before had I done research quite of this caliber. Here, I was able to view physical manuscripts of Virginia Woolf and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's writings. I had to apply for a reader card and obtain special permission just to be able to look at some of the manuscripts. I read Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's handwritten version of The Adventure of the Retired Color Man and the letters surrounding Virginia Woolf's suicide. It was an amazing and unforgettable experience to be able to see these works face to face, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. In the end, I just can't put into words how valuable my time with the UW program in London was. I learned more about myself in those few short months than I could have ever imagined. When it was all said and done, I had transformed into a wiser, stronger, more confident person. I'm not afraid to travel to a new city or talk to a prospective boss during an interview, because I've learned that I can do anything I set my mind to. And you will too.